I'm going to tell you something that I don't like to talk about a lot. I'm going to talk about my first year of university where I failed half of my classes. Not one or two, I failed 6 classes. And this meant actual Fs and an email from the study counselor saying that I got on the academic probation list, and if I wanted to reconsider my enrollment, I wanted to continue the program. So if you're like me and you're failing classes, even though you think you're working hard, make sure to listen up. Because what made it worse for me was I wasn't skipping classes. I really thought I was working hard. I wasn't partying every weekend. I was spending hours at the kitchen table studying. And eventually, I just didn't know what went wrong. And I did manage to make a shift and go from academic probation to performing at a completely different level. So I'm going to break down exactly what caused my failure in the first place, and then the specific changes I made and the research-backed principles that helped me go from academic probation to an A+ average student. But before I dive into the strategy, I want you to understand that I know what failure feels like. And in that moment, when people tell you to just keep going or just try harder and you're still failing, then that doesn't make the difference. So I know what it's like to feel desperate for wanting to make a change, but not actually knowing how to make that change. And I didn't tell anyone my grades except for my parents, because they needed to know that I was not in a good position, and they eventually decided to help me out and find a study coach for me, which inspired me to eventually now, 10 years later, do the same. And what felt most difficult was I saw the peers around me actually doing really well. They talked about their marks casually and just say like, oh yeah, I passed. And when this happens, you start thinking there's something fundamentally wrong with you. I had never been a good student in my life, and my whole identity was already built around I'm not a fast learner, I'm not a smart learner. So I started failing, and that actually got worse. And I went to my study advisor and he said, yeah, just try more and do your best. And he didn't give me any strategies or methods or actually help in any sense, just advice to do more things that clearly were not working. So if you're watching this and you're in that place right now, failing, feeling ashamed, maybe thinking about dropping out, these feelings are normal in that moment. But I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh yeah, just try harder and continue what you're doing, because you have to change what you're doing. So let me show you what I changed. The biggest mistake I made was spending months trying to fix the wrong problems. I thought I needed more hours and more discipline and more studying, but what I actually needed was to figure out why I was failing in the first place. And this is what was actually going wrong. I was rereading and highlighting entire paragraphs, rereading summaries, making summaries, listening to the recorded lectures for a second time, and this was all just a waste of time. All the time I thought I was doing revision and I thought I was learning, but I was never really productive, and the learning outcomes were very shallow. I barely learned anything. So there's this concept called fluency illusion. When you reread material, your brain actually starts to recognize it and you think you know it, but recognizing some concepts and words is not the same as recalling information while you're on a test and performing critical thinking or analysis. So when you sit down to write your exam, you need to pull information out of your brain and write it on paper, and I had never trained that skill. I was using 100% passive learning method, no SQ3R, no active recall, no Bloom's taxonomy, and I was spending 8 hours a day sitting in the chair and calling it studying while I was just wasting time. And in high school that might have worked. Like I said, I wasn't really a great student, but I barely passed. But in college, like, the load of information and the speed was completely different. And research has shown that practicing retrieving information from memory produces significantly stronger memory pathways than actually rereading. And I didn't know any of this, and nobody teaches us the part. You spend 13,000 hours at school between the age of 5 and 22, and nobody teaches you about learning how to learn. So what my study schedule looked like, I was just going to sit down, open whatever I think was urgent, study till I'm tired, then go to bed. And there was no such thing as prioritization or time blocking or active recall or spaced repetition. I would just study the subject I liked the most and neglect the ones that I found difficult. And my weak subjects just kept getting worse and weaker, and I never did a time audit or anything even remotely close, such that I could create some structure and overview. I just assumed I was busy, but a lot of my busy time was actually also scrolling, playing video games, prioritizing anything else except the study, because I saw all my other friends doing the same, and I was like, okay, if they do it, then I can do it as well. But it wasn't like clicking, it wasn't fixing the problem. So without a system, every day I was making a lot of decisions. And by the time I sat down to actually study, my brain was also exhausted from making all of these decisions and figuring out what to study or where to find it on the online platform. And I was trying to figure out everything alone. So I did not visit professors at office hours, nor is that really a concept in the Netherlands. I did not form any study groups. I did not ask for help, partly because of ego. I was like 17 at the time, and partly because of shame, because I didn't want to admit and have anyone else know that I was struggling so much. Because I believe that needing help meant that I wasn't capable, which is the exact opposite of how top students operate. And the students performing well were not really smarter than me, but they were more connected. They shared notes, they quizzed each other, they went for tutoring, they treated studying like an actual team sport and doing it together. And when you fail alone, you overthink alone. There's no one to help you with the struggle or to point out where you're making mistakes and doing things wrong. And once I understood that I was broken, I could start actually fixing these things. And here are the exact changes that I made. Change number one was I replaced every passive learning method with active learning. This was the single biggest change. I stopped rereading and highlighting. I started testing myself basically on everything, making quizzes, making flashcards, making huge posters and trying to recall from images. And after every lecture, I would close my notes and write down what can I remember. And this is called blurting. It's uncomfortable because you realize how little you actually retain, but that discomfort also trains your brain to build stronger neural pathways. And then after that, I started also pacing my review sessions instead of cramming everything overnight. So instead of reviewing just once the night before an exam, I would review on day 1, day 3, day 7, day 14, day 30. And this is to beat something called the forgetting curve. And you can see it on your screen. And spaced repetition is how you deal with that. And I started doing past papers already weeks before the actual exams, which will help me prepare in a much more efficient and effective way. Because every practice test I failed also helped me find exactly where my weak spots were and what I then had to focus on and improve on. And I was actually studying fewer hours, but now every hour was effective, and eventually over time it yielded way better results. Change number 2 was to actually build a study system. I used to sit down with my mom on Sunday evening and we mapped out my entire week. I tracked where my time was actually gone for the week, and I discovered I had about 35 hours of usable study time. Way more than I thought. I used to think that I had 1 or 2 hours a day. And I used to waste at least like 10 hours of those hours deciding what to do, often called decision fatigue. So instead of starting with my strongest subjects, I gave the most important time blocks to the subjects that I was weak at, such that I dedicate enough time to things that need biggest improvement. This felt terrible at first because you're constantly just struggling with the things that you already struggle with, but eventually it helped me improve my grades and I found the strategy that worked. I also stopped scheduling hard conceptual work at 10 p.m. I used to study at 10 or 11 p.m. I would do deep work early in the morning and revision or lighter review and testing maybe later at the day or in the evenings. I also set aside time for buffer and relaxation and rest as parts of my life. I really played soccer a lot, so I was dedicating at least 5 evenings a week to soccer. Because the old me would just create a perfect schedule and then miss 1 hour, feel like a failure, then give up and abandon the whole schedule. And these buffer times are not necessarily laziness. Your mind and body genuinely need rest and periods to recharge. So every Sunday, sit down for 30 minutes, analyze what worked, what didn't work, adjust your weekly schedule, and create time blocks with the intention to study for them. Change number 3 was about building a support system. And this required me to put aside my ego, but it might have been one of the most important changes. I started going to the professor office hours, or at least I started asking them more questions afterwards. And I came prepared with specific questions because I was doing my preparation before class. And the professors noticed and they remembered my name and they were way more helpful when I needed support later on in periods. I remember one moment where I texted one of my professors at 6 p.m., so way after college and office hours, and he was able and willing to jump on a call with me at 7:30 p.m. to explain some financial things for me. And I also found other people in my course that were better than me, and we started studying together, and I actually asked them a ton of questions too of course, identify and change my knowledge gaps. And I eventually also started to teach other students. So the hierarchy was like this. There were students way better than me, then there was me, and there were students who were still like procrastinating and leaving things to the last minute. So what I would do, I would learn from the students who were more knowledgeable than me, because maybe they already had these courses in their bachelor's. And then I was again then teaching to the students who were like cramming last minute. But that teaching allowed me to find out or figure out what I truly understood, if I understood it correctly. And if the student asked me questions, I could analyze my own knowledge and see if I could answer them correctly. Then change number 4 was about rebuilding my confidence through consistent proof. And this is super important. Confidence comes from evidence. And when you've been failing, you literally have zero evidence that you're capable. So you feel very, very uncomfortable. So I had to build that. And I didn't aim for straight A's right away. I aimed to pass the courses first, the ones that I failed, the retakes that I had. And when I got that, it proved to my brain that I was actually capable of doing it and that the methods that we used were actually working. So I kept a simple log of what I studied, how I studied it, and what the results were, such that I could see and build that actual system that would guarantee me better results. So over the weeks, I could see like a trend line going up, and that data replaced the negative voice in my head with actual proof that I was capable of passing these exams if I followed the right system. Instead of thinking I'm really bad at this topic, I reframed it to I was using bad methods for this topic, and one that cannot be fixed, like the effort cannot be fixed, but the methods can. So every small win eventually made the next exam or the next study session a lot easier, because passing this one exam made me more confidence, made me push harder, made me believe, made me feel hopeful, and that allowed me to continue going even though that I had a very bad track record and I felt very uncomfortable. So if you're currently stuck, maybe you got bad results, maybe you're on academic probation and you still have a little bit of time in this semester to fix it, then I don't want you to quit. I want you to change the following things. First of all, the things that I just shared. Skip the passive learning methods, go active recall, create a study system by sitting down every Sunday and making a plan for the week, and also start building your confidence by small wins. Focus on just passing this one exam by applying right methods, get the result in, build more confidence. Then advice number 1, if you're in the situation of academic probation or like you're getting low GPA, I want you to stop, diagnose, and then act. So don't study while you're panicking. Don't just do more hours of the same thing that gets you nowhere. Ask yourself honestly, why are you failing? Is it your methods? Is it your schedule? Is it your mental health? Is it your environment? Because you cannot fix a problem that you have not identified. So get really clear on where it is that you are failing at the moment. Advice number 2 is that your methods are probably one of the problems, because I've been talking to thousands of students and all of them struggle with bad learning methods. So if you're rereading notes, if you're highlighting, if you're cramming, you're using F-tier study methods. Switch to applying Bloom's taxonomy to your practice problems. Use the SQ3R method. Active recall just in general. Spaced repetition, practice testing. These are the baseline of effective studying. I have an entire video breaking down all of these methods, and I'll link it in the description and in the cards right now, such that you can check that one out. Advice number 3 is that I need you to reach out to someone. Tell someone that you're struggling and stop hiding from it. Talk with a friend, okay? A family member, a counselor, or a professor, not for sympathy or, like feeling good, but for accountability. Failing in isolation and doing everything by yourself causes a lot of shame, and it is so hard from a mental perspective. Discussing it helps it turn from failure into a comeback story where other people can help and guide you if you find the right people to help and guide you. Advice number 4 would be that I want you to shrink your goals dramatically. And this might sound weird. You say, oh, I want to be a 4.0 GPA student. If you're at a 2.4 right now, then that is not your main goal. Your main goal is just getting your GPA up with every 0.1 grade. So don't aim to be on the dean's list. Aim to pass one subject that you're currently failing, build up that confidence, and then move forward. Advice number 5 is that I want you to get professional support if you need it, because I was failing and it affected also my mental health. It affected eventually my sleep. It affected my motivation. So I want you to go to either your university counselor if they they provide sufficient guidance? If not, reach out to anyone else. For example, we help students, working professional, adult learners. If you need help with any of the topics that we discussed today, also check the link in the description where you can book a free consultation call with me, and then we can see how we can help you out with that. Because I need you to fix the root cause, and doing it alone is not the solution, because you're just basically trying to solve 10 years of problems that could be taught to you in like 3 months. Then advice number 6 is that the grades don't define you. Okay, nobody will care about your first year grades in 5 years from now, and what matters is the trajectory and the change that you're making. I went from failing 6 courses to performing at a level that I didn't think was possible. And I made this video because I wish someone had made it for me when I was failing. I needed my parents to help me out with this, but you can do all of this research these days online, and you can find all of the solutions because we're sharing everything online via Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube. And I don't want you to hear the study harder advice, because that is not going to solve it. I don't want you to go into the believe in yourself advice, because you need different methods and strategies. Both of that were useless for me. So what I needed was someone to actually say exactly what's going wrong, how to fix it, and prove that it works. And if this video did that for you, or you know someone who needs to hear this, I want you to share it with them, because sometimes knowing someone else went through it is enough to keep you going. And like I said, I've been through it, and we've helped hundreds of students who were in academic probation or at a very bad academic situation who eventually managed to make the same change. So if you want to know which study methods are good and which ones are not, check out this video where I rank study methods from F tier to S tier. And if you want to go deeper on SQ3R, Bloom's taxonomy, active recall, building a study schedule, spaced repetition, then those videos are also all on my channel. I'll link them in the description. I'll see you in the next one.